fought in Fallujah in 2004. If you don't know, Fallujah was a very hot spot. Had a lot of tragedy there, a lot of collateral damage. Very difficult situation for Marines especially. He's been a fireman now with you guys for several years. He's been on several incidences with casualties, the most recent being an automobile accident involving a 3-year-old and his mother hit by a drunk driver, and he was not able to save their lives, and that hit him really hard. You've heard that Franco's been driving or drinking more than usual, and that his wife recently filed for divorce. While visiting the pawn shop in search of a TV for your kids this past weekend, you saw Franco, and he was purchasing a cheap handgun. What would you do? So I'm going to play Franco, and I want you all to just act as one person. Somebody can get the conversation going. Somebody else can pick it up. You can hand off to somebody else to keep it going if you don't want to. But I'm telling you this, Franco is fixing to walk out this door with this gun. And if he gets out the door, you will not see him in the department ever again. So I hope that this class can do just as good as the first two classes and make sure that Franco stays alive. Y'all understand your instructions? Here we go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good gun.
Hey, man, what's going on? Franco?
Hey.
Buddy, you want
Hey.
to talk for a second?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm okay. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. What you doing here?
Oh, well, I'm looking for a TV for the kids. What are you doing here?
I just bought a little item.
Little item, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Where'd you get that?
Well, I got a gun.
Okay, why'd you do that?
I,
Didn't I hear your wife's filing for divorce? You okay, buddy? Everything going okay at the house?
Franco.
Yeah.
I see that gun. I got one that looks something like it. Can I see that?
sure.
Thank you. No, you don't have one.
Well, I was gonna say, don't buy a cheap handgun.
How about that?
That's good. What do we need to get to?
Franco, you wanna talk? Anything you wanna talk about?
You know how it is. I mean, it's just, I didn't get a good, my last employment report with you guys wasn't too good. I just hadn't been into it, lately. Might even get fired, I don't know. Just can't do it anymore.
Have a seat.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to talk about, though?
I've been in your shoes, but you can talk about this.
Well, I don't know if there's anything to talk about. I think I got it figured out what I need to do. So I'll solve the problem.
That ain't gonna solve any problem. It's gonna create more problems for yourself that way, or for your family.
What are you talking about? You don't even know what I'm planning to do. I got.
Being this way, you're buying a handgun, there's planning something that's not smart.
Well, I mean, it'll work out. It'll work out.
Franco, why are you so depressed, buddy? What's bothering you?
Are you still at the EOC?
What's going on?
Sir?
Well, I mean,
Bothering you?
Okay.
it's just all these calls I've been
Talk
on.
to you later.
All these calls I've been on.
Yeah, everything's fine. All right, bye.
That was Frank.
I call Frank.
It's just, I mean, I don't even see.
Bothering you a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't even see the point of anything anymore. But I mean, I appreciate you talking to me.
No. Come on, sit down. Stay there for a minute. So, I can tell you're hurting, so what can we do to help you? I mean, there's gotta be something. I'm gonna go talk to the chaplain maybe, or talk to your lieutenant or something. I mean, Maybe you can unload on.
I kind of keep stuff to myself.
Well, you shouldn't. It's not good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me what's going on?
I mean, you probably heard my wife file for divorce, and my employment records are not real good right now, and probably gonna lose my job, and can't sleep at night. All the stuff I've been through lately, and keep thinking about Fallujah all the time. I dream about it when I do sleep, so it's like don't even go to sleep. What's the point of going to sleep? Because you're gonna have nightmares. So there's no point in going to sleep.
Are you thinking about taking your own life?
Thank you. That's what I wanted you to do. All right, we got you. We're good. I need my gun. Thank you. Hey, we did it. It took a minute for you guys to get there now, right? But how did it feel to ask the question?
It was hard.
It's hard, isn't it? It is not easy to ask that question. Now, Frank earlier said I've done over 600 suicide interventions. Those are 600 successful suicide interventions where the person was really thinking about suicide, and they said, yes, I have been thinking about suicide. I will tell you this, I have asked that question probably thousands of times. Thousands of times. And not everybody says yes. Some people aren't suicidal. But I will tell you this, it's gotten easier over the years to ask the question. Number one, because I've never had anybody hit me for asking the question. I've never had anybody offended for asking the question. I can't believe you asked me that question. Nobody does that. You know what they do? They say, no, I'm not. But thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. Because it shows that you care. It's the most intimate question that you can ask somebody to show that you care. Are you thinking about, and I would just go ahead and say, are you thinking about suicide? There was a discussion in one of our classes this morning, are you thinking about harming yourself? You can ask that question, but you still need to bring it around and say, are we talking about suicide? Because a person that is thinking about suicide is not thinking about harming themselves. They're thinking about ending the pain. And there is a difference. They're not even thinking about killing themselves. Suicide is not the result of people wanting to die. I know y'all looking at me going, that can't be right. I'm going to say it again. Suicide is not the result of people wanting to die. It is the result of people not knowing how to live anymore. And there is a strong difference. Can y'all see how that could be a difference? It's not that a person wants to die. It's they've lost hope. They don't know how to keep going. And they feel like that's their only option. It's not that they want to die. I've never met anybody that really wanted to die. They just didn't know how to live anymore. And one of the reasons is because of the pain or the sense of hopelessness. And many times, a large majority of the time, there is depression involved. Some form of depression. Maybe it hasn't been diagnosed, but there's some form of depression involved. So that's the result. That's why people take their lives. You guys did a great job. You want to engage a person in that question as quickly as possible. And the other question that you want to ask once you do is, what's your plan? Well, obviously y'all knew my plan, right? Sometimes the plan is not so obvious. What is your plan? Ask them the question. And it's like you said, I love what you said earlier, Jeff, about, it's Jeff, right? About people will be honest with you. When you ask the question upright, people will answer it straightforward. And they'll also tell you what their plan is. I got a gun. I got a car. I got a rope. I've had veterans that have led me out to the car after we've had a conversation, pop the trunk, and there's a rope from Home Depot. They give it over to me. I've had my son Tyler here, he just walked in the door. He knows I've got a closet. There's been times when I've had a closet full of weapons because they've had to give me their weapons. What's your plan? Okay, let's disengage that plan. When are you planning to do this? That's a legitimate question, isn't it? When are you planning to do this? Because if it's immediate, we need to do something immediately. But here's the other reality. Y'all know that Wednesday and Thursdays are some of the deadliest days of the week for suicide? Wednesdays and Thursdays. Middle of the week. Look it up. Statistics. Look up a suicide in this county, September 22nd, 2013. Everybody in this room knows who it is. If I mention the name, you would know it. That was a Wednesday, 2013. January, that was September 22nd, January 13th, 2016, when Kyle Lovett died, the veteran. It was in the newspaper. I was there. I was 75 yards away. That was a Wednesday. It's the deadliest day of the week. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe it's because the weekend's too far gone and the next weekend's too far ahead. And the stuff that's going on at work is just overwhelming me. I don't know. But I do know this, that I have told veterans before and soldiers that I work with, especially on Wednesday, why don't we just sleep on that idea? Let's get us a good night's rest. And by Thursday, guess what? That thought's gone. The thought's gone. So let me very quickly, I got just 15 minutes to introduce this 6-hour workshop. This is normally a 6-hour, one-day workshop. You're gonna get it all right quick. I know you guys can handle it. This is an introduction to Listen, Learn, Lead. Suicide intervention training. We created this model back a few years ago based on our work with about 25,000 soldiers. And here it is. Listen is the main part that we want to understand. But guess what? Listen goes all the way to the top, doesn't it? What does that mean? That means we never stop listening. We're always listening. And embedded in listening is learning. And embedded in learning is leading. You cannot lead somebody away from self-harm if you're not willing to learn what's going on in their life and if you haven't been listening to them in the first place. That make sense? So listening answers the what question. What's going on? It's not just with your ears, but what's going on? When you walked into that pawn shop and you saw Franco standing there buying a .38, you're thinking, what's going on, right? You didn't have to hear anything with your ears. It's a sense of awareness. What's going on? Learning answers the why question. Why are they there? And that doesn't mean you go up and say, what's going on? Why? Tell me why you would want to kill yourself. No, that's a very offensive question sometimes. You don't go and say, why? That's a judgmental question. Why? Why would you feel that way? But you need to understand their why. And you understand their why, you said, sit down, tell me what's going on. You already had answered the question, what's going on? Now you need to hear it from him. And you begin to understand their why. Well, my why was, as Franco, Fallujah. It rebuilt some neurons in my brain the wrong way. It's rewired the brain. Y'all realize you got 100 million neurons in your brain? And if they get rewired the wrong way, it's almost impossible to figure out the wiring in that thing. And then lead answers the how question. How can I keep you safe for now? And it's got to be a question that they answer for themselves. It's not you putting them in a straitjacket, because the minute they get away from that straitjacket, they're going to kill themselves. It's you helping them understand, how can I help you stay safe? Because they've got to take ownership of how they're going to stay safe. And the reason they got to take ownership of the way they're going to stay safe is because you can't be there 24/7. And you don't want to promise people that you can be. Tell me your name. Brooke, how are you? Brock? Hey man, I'll always be there for you. You believe that? No, you shouldn't. And if you do believe it, and here's a person who's suicidal, and I say, I'll always be there for you. And the minute he's suicidal again, that thought comes back in like the wind. Because that's what suicidal thoughts do. They come and go like the wind. Let's let it sleep. Let's sleep on it. The wind will blow another way tomorrow. And let's get stronger and stronger by overcoming those thoughts. Does that make sense? Because think about it, guys. I don't have to act upon every thought that comes through my head, do I? If you did, none of us would be sitting here today, would we? We would all be in jail. Because how many of us have ever stood in line at Kroger and somebody's mouthing off at the cashier and we want to slap them upside the head? That's the thought that we have. But if we did that, we'd be in trouble. Right? No, nobody's here done that, I don't think, right? We don't have to act upon every thought. That's the point I'm getting. And suicide is just a thought. When we get that into our head and realize that, man, there's an incredible power in that. I don't have to act upon every thought that comes into my head. They've got to realize that for themselves. How can I help you stay safe for now? If I promise you that I'll always be there for you, then I'm promising something that I can't deliver on, as much as my intentions are good for that. I tell soldiers all the time, you call me anytime you want to. I may not be able to answer the phone. If I'm 30,000 feet in the air on a Delta flight, I can't answer the phone. If I'm with another soldier I'm trying to help, I can't answer the phone. But you call me, and if you need me, I'll call you back as soon as I can. But here's also a number that you can call. It's a 1-800 number, and they can call that number and talk to somebody. I give them that number. So, very quickly, here's a guy that is your next door neighbor. He was the wide receiver on the football team. He's planning to go to a major SEC school. He's got a full scholarship. That's his problem, isn't it? Yep. So, and he just finished the championship game where they lost because he missed the reception. Right? And he's sitting in class feeling like he lost the championship for everybody. Normally he's happy-go-lucky. His teacher's seeing this for the past 2 weeks, and now you're sitting on your back porch getting your fishing gear ready for the weekend or whatever, and you see your next door neighbor, this guy, sitting on his back porch looking that way right now. Something's going on with this kid, right? We might want to have a conversation with him. Why? Because we're helpers. We want people to stay alive. How many of you know anybody in the Fayetteville Fire Department or Fayetteville Police Department? Police Department. We're always talking with them, right? You got to talk. You got to communicate with one another. There's a little bit of rivalry between each other, right? So, but one of your buddies up there, come to find out his child's got leukemia. She's not going to make it. It's bad. His wife's filing for divorce. He's just really been messed up on a few calls that he's been on. Maybe he was involved in a shooting. And now he's at risk. And you realize that. What are you going to do? What's going on in his life? What's going on with your next door neighbor who was in Fallujah with Franco, and you've met him before, and he can't hold down a job at Walmart. And he used to be in charge of $1 million equipment when he was in Iraq. And now he can't even stock the shelf at Walmart. What's going on with him? What's going on with the lady that runs the 911 that you get the dispatch from? Do y'all know the dispatchers now? Do you know their face, or do y'all see them? You don't ever see them? You do know 911 operators are at a high risk of suicide, right? Yeah. They hear it all the time, but they can't do anything about it. They hear things that you don't hear. They hear the gunshots when the gunshots go off. And there's nothing they can do about it. So they're at risk too. So here you are, you're a person that can help, because now you got a model to help people, and you know how important it is to help people, because 1 out of 20 people are suicidal. And here's the person at risk, and you jump into the model first because you're the one leading the way. But guess what? They will follow you into the model. And now you're both in this model. You're interacting with one another, just like we were a while ago, and Franco was about to walk out the door. And you ask the suicide question. You see the little arrow there? That leads you into greater learning. What are you going to learn? You got a whole lot of things to learn. What's their plan? When are you planning to do this? Tell me what's going on. Tell me a little bit more about it. And you hear the pain in their life. But guess what? They are also learning something. You're learning a whole lot more than they are, but they're also learning something. What are they learning? They're learning their life is at risk. Because you know what? up until somebody asks the suicide question and they say, yeah, I am thinking about suicide, a lot of people don't even realize their life is at risk. That's the truth. They don't even realize their life is at risk. They are so focused on the pain that they don't realize their life is at risk. Have you ever been on a call where somebody's got, what's the major artery that would end it pretty quickly? Huh? Yeah. And it's just pumping out like crazy, and that person has no idea how at risk their life is. Is that possible? Oh yeah, it's possible. Absolutely. And when a person is suicidal, they may not realize how much their life is at risk. I was speaking in a church right down the road from here. I had a 13-year-old girl come up to me and say, now that you put it that way, I realize my life is at risk. I said, sweetie, tell me what's going on. She told me her story. Come to find out, her life was at risk. She did not realize how much her life was at risk. And we got her the help that she needed. But they also learn I'm not alone. Somebody that's willing to ask me the suicide question, I realize I'm not alone. Oh, let's not forget this. There's hope. There's hope. And the other thing, I have to take action now. I cannot do, I've got to take action now. I've got to address this situation. What must you learn? You must learn what is your plan. Because if they have a plan, then I've got to take immediate action. If they don't have a plan, hey, you know what, it's Wednesday, let's sleep on it. And let's talk about it tomorrow. Can we do that? Yeah, we can do that. When are you planning to do this? Well, I'm planning to do it tonight. Okay, well, we need to take immediate action. We got to disengage that plan. Will you give me your weapon? Yeah, I'll give it to you. Will you give me your rope? Yeah, I'll give it to you. So what is your plan? You move into leading. Leading answers the how. How can I keep you safe? But watch what happens. Watch what happens. This is very important. When you ask that question, they move to the top of the model. And the reason they move to the top of the model is because they've got to take control of their situation. Why? Because you can't be there 24/7. They've got to take some actions for themselves. Otherwise, you're creating a, what do you call it? It's late in the day. I can't remember right now. My brain just shut down. What's the psychological term? You are creating a codependent relationship. It's not healthy because you can't be there for them all the time. They've got to learn to be dependent upon themselves. Who else can we call? That's the way that you disengage from the plan too, because you can't be there for them all the time. Who else can we call? It may be the chaplain. It may be their pastor. It might be a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a licensed professional counselor. And once you move away from the model, you move away with them understanding, I am not alone. When my son asked me that question 7 years ago, I realized I was not alone. And I was stronger because of it.